Hello, I should say good morning, and welcome to SportsBeat Live, the Kansas City Stars post-game show. We just finished watching the Chiefs fall to the Baltimore Ravens 36-35 in a wild game. And we're going to talk about that, what went right for the Chiefs for most of three quarters, and then what went terribly wrong in the fourth quarter. So we really need your help tonight. Send us your questions and comments. If you want to vent a little bit on this loss, you let us know what you think. We'll get to as many questions and comments as we possibly can. We're going to have Sam Mellinger, Vahe Gregorian, and Herbie Teope at some point in the show. You're also going to hear from a Chiefs player or two from the post game, and got to tell you, they didn't. We're not allowed inside the locker room like we used to. It certainly would have been a subdued locker room if we had. But I just listening to Mahomes and Travis Kelce, Tyrann Mathieu, Frank Clark after the game, even Andy Reid. None of them were I should say all of them crushed and disappointed, and maybe a little perturbed about the way this game unfolded. And just to review, the Chiefs had a 35-24 lead when they got the ball back. Remember the Mahomes to Kelce touchdown pass, which was an incredible play. Kelce, what did he have? Something like 30 yards of went 46 yards. He caught it about 2 yards past the line of scrimmage and ended up going into the end zone. Great blocking, great individual effort. That put the Chiefs up 35-24. And then the defense came out and had a terrific series. Dan Sorensen with the sack of Lamar Jackson. So the Chiefs are getting the ball back. Ravens punt. Chiefs get the ball back at midfield with a chance to put away the game. They're up 35-24. They have the ball at midfield. But on the first play, Clyde Edwards-Helaire loses 5 yards. And the Chiefs end up facing a 3rd and long. Patrick Mahomes then makes an ill-advised pass attempt that is intercepted. And being here in the stadium, you could just feel the wave of the momentum shift for Baltimore at that time. The stadium got into the game after being pretty subdued for a while, and from then the Ravens rolled. Listen, we know what happened at the end with the Clyde Edwards-Helaire fumble. First time for a fumble for him in a Chiefs uniform. Came at the worst possible time. Chiefs are driving, getting into field goal range, and of course the Patrick Mahomes interception, the first for him in December in a game. He had thrown 38 touchdown passes without throwing an interception. So that is kind of a couple of amazing firsts that led to this defeat. Okay, Melly is here. Sam, good to see you. And I just
good to see you.
Oh, so there he is.
Yeah,
all right,
I had to
Sam.
move.
All right, I just broke it down, and I'll probably move a little bit too, just to create a little separation. While I'm doing that, let's get your narrative on the game. What'd you write about, and how did this thing unfold?
Yeah, man. So I wrote about the end and just all the mistakes that the Chiefs made. It's funny. I think that Tyrann Mathieu said after the game, he said, "This is the game. I feel like this is a game that we should have won." And he's right. And I think that the Chiefs are going to win, and they have won, and will continue to win more than their fair share of 50-50 games, just because they have these built-in advantages with the quarterback, especially, and some of the other talent that they have. And I think that they can get to the playoffs playing like this, being sloppy. And I think they even have a chance at the Super Bowl. But to win the games that they really want to win, they got to clean it up. That was, and Mahomes basically said it, the worst interception of his career. It was a terrible idea, executed poorly, at a really terrible time in the game to make that kind of mistake. People are going to remember the fumble, obviously, at the end. And, that did ruin a chance at what I assume would have been a game-winning field goal. That was the Chiefs' plan. They said as much after the game. But they were also just this is 2 weeks in a row that they've really gotten bossed at the line of scrimmage, especially on the defense. They seem to fix some of that in the second half against the Browns. But today, this was just 4 quarters of just getting whooped there. So they got to figure that out. They missed just a dizzying number of tackles. I don't know what the numbers will end up saying, but that was pretty terrible too. It was just, God, they're good enough to almost beat the Ravens on the road without playing well, but they need to do better than this to get where they want to go for sure.
So the Ravens ended up with 251 rushing yards, I think over 6 yards per carry. But let's keep in mind a couple things. The Ravens were playing with a kind of a makeshift offensive line. They had some bad news. Ronnie Stanley didn't play tonight. They had to move some people around. They had a ton of penalties on the offensive line. There was a chance for the Chiefs to take advantage of places where the Ravens were down a little bit, and ultimately it could not happen. So we have a ton of comments and questions here. Let's start getting to them here. See what everybody had to say about this thing. Maybe this is where we bring in Jim Moore to say 20-0. Who said anything about 20? Yeah, that 20-0 ship has sailed for sure. So Chris Jackson says football's a team game, team sport. That Clyde Edwards-Helaire managed to single-handedly lose. Listen, that was a terrible fumble. Like I said, the first for him in a Chiefs uniform, first of his career. Just sloppy ball handling, right? Andy, I didn't see this. Andy Reid said that he didn't think he took the handoff cleanly, that the ball was loose. Did you see that?
I wondered about that. It definitely got knocked loose by the Ravens defender, but I don't know if it got knocked loose because he didn't have that the ball kind of turned in his arm, that he didn't have a clean exchange. I mean, I think that that's his first fumble as a professional. So I think he deserves a little, not forgiveness, but just it happened at the worst time, but he's not a fumbler, I guess is what I'm saying. This is not, the problems that they've had with some backs, in the past. So, and look, I know that people are going to remember that fumble, and they should. How could you not? When it happened, where it happened, and all that stuff. But I don't think you can put it all on Clyde, and that's not to excuse Clyde, but it's to make sure that we're not letting other mistakes just go unnoticed. That long touchdown to Marquise Brown. Tyrann Mathieu after the game said, that's on him, but I think he was trying to cover up for his teammate Dan Sorensen, just reading the body language on the play. So, I mean, and, again, the defensive line, the missed tackles, Mahomes' interception. I mean, there was just – it's too much to blame one guy or one play for sure.
Hey, welcome in, Herbie Teope. Good to see you, Herbie. Before we get your thoughts, Herbie, let me just say that, Andy Reid after the game – kind of look, he said the things that you'd expect him to say about just kind of taking some of the heat off of Clyde. You can't, obviously you can't throw the ball over there. Here's my question though: the Chiefs had just run 3 plays and it zipped for about 35 yards to get into field goal range. Should you be handing off the ball right there and then? Is that it was 2nd and 3 from the 32 or something like that? Is that right, Herbie?
Yeah, I think that. But I think if you continue running the ball, you do take time off the clock, and I think that's what you wanted to do there. You don't want to leave any time there left whatsoever for Baltimore. But I caught the tail end of what Melly there was saying, and I tend to agree with him. We can't put the blame of this game on Edwards-Helaire. Yes, that is the last thing we're going to remember, but there were a multitude of things that happened before that. When you're up 35-24, you got to be able to put the game away. And the Chiefs just couldn't do it for one reason or another. It's kind of like what Tyrann Mathieu said after the game. Every now and then you do need a good ass whooping to remind yourself of where you are. And he's correct. They got punched in the mouth. You got to be able to put the good teams away, and they didn't do it.
I wrote a little bit about this after the game, and I know, Sam, you wrote about the mistakes. That as obvious and as egregious as the Edwards-Helaire fumble was, the Mahomes interception was the turning point. To me, that's where the game began to turn. And he said he had Demarcus Robinson open in the flat, and even if he doesn't pick up, completes the pass, doesn't pick up the first down, you either have a chance for a long Butker field goal attempt, or you can punt, try to pin the Ravens back at that point. But you guys, didn't you? The game changed. The stadium felt different after the interception.
Yeah, I thought it was an inexplicable mistake too. I mean, kind of one of the things that's lost in Mahomes' brilliance is that he doesn't make mistakes. He doesn't make, he'll make interceptions or bad throws or bad decisions or whatever, but not just dumb stuff. And then, that is really the first time, and people listening or watching here can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the first time I've ever seen him do something where I thought that was dumb. That was just really dumb. And it was in the absolute worst time. I mean, that was in real time because, Blair, I remember, I don't know the exact words, but when they took over at midfield, it was the 49 one way or the other, and you said, this is time to bury him. And it was, and selfishly, we're like, we could start writing, right? Like, get us a touchdown here, and we could start, like, forming our, thoughts and everything. But it's just, even worst case scenario, punt it and make them go 90 yards, like it was just such a terrible mistake right there.
Yeah, because the Ravens immediately capitalized on the ensuing possession, and you're down 35-24, and they punched the ball in. Granted, the 2-point conversion wasn't good, but they gained all the momentum, going into the critical fourth quarter. And so Melly's always right. I don't think Melly's ever wrong, but he's right again. That was the absolute turning point of the game. All right, in fact, I remember Melly turned to me and was like, get your notepad out, write the time down. This is the turning point of the game. He's right.
Okay, you guys know who also is often right and often astute. In fact, two players we're going to hear from right now. In some order, I'm going to let Beth pick, but if we have our druthers, I'd like to hear Patrick Mahomes first, and then right after that, Travis Kelce. So let's hear from Chiefs players after their 36-35 loss here at Baltimore.
Yeah, we got in the field goal range pretty quickly there, and then we were pretty much just trying to get down as close as we could to let Butker kick the field goal, and the dude made a good play. He was getting blocked. He threw his hand out and hit it directly on the ball. So we were executing. They made a play, and you lose games when teams make plays like that at the end of games.
We threw the first interception in the month of September. What was it that you saw you didn't, or did you feel the pressure coming? Was it when you were trying to make a play when you were going down? Is that something?
Yeah, I should have just thrown it to D-Rob in the flat. I saw D-Rob in the flat, and then I saw Trav come back to me. The dude grabbed my leg. I thought I could kind of get my other leg down. He kind of spun me, and it's a dumb interception. It's probably one of the worst interceptions I've probably ever had.
What did you see them do against you defensively? They blitzed a lot more in the past.
Yeah, they put a lot of shell. They kind of played over the top of Tyreek pretty much the entire game. They chose their times to kind of double 87 a little bit. But, if you look at a positive, I thought the other guys stepped up and made plays. I feel like teams are going to start doing this. You saw Pringle with a big play. You saw McCole make a lot of tough catches. D-Rob with a big touchdown play. So those guys are going to have to contribute for us this year. And so to have them have games in a caliber team that we played today, we can take that as a positive going into the next week.
Last week we talked about, you having so many targets towards Kelce and Robinson. Was it a concerted effort on your part to get more of the players involved, or was it that's just how the game flowed?
Yeah, I think it's just kind of how the game went. I think I said it last week. They were letting Trav and Tyreek get open, so I was giving them the ball. But if teams are going to really play over the top of Tyreek or try to double Trav at certain points of the game, then we have the guys that can make plays, and you saw that with the guys that are making plays today. And like I said, I have full confidence in those guys.
Does a game like this reinforce the idea that when you have a lead, like a double-digit lead, with ball at midfield, you have a chance to bury a team? You got to bury it.
Yeah, for sure. That's what kind of the whole point. The interception was not only dumb in the sense that it was a bad throw, not even close to the receiver, but it was dumb at that point in the game. Even if I just throw the flat and he doesn't get the first down, we have a chance to decide if we're going to try to kick a field goal or punt and kind of pin him back. It's just a lot of little things in games like this that kind of form you to get losses in the end.
Patrick had his head down after the game as a leader. What do you tell him?
Yeah, I mean, we'll need them the whole entire season. Don't let one play define you. I mean, it's a long season. Obviously, we lost. I mean, it's a good football team that we played at their place, but it's a long season. And if we want to be great, if we want to have a chance to try to make another run at this thing, he's going to be an important part of it.
Obviously, the first last month of September. What was the move? What was David's message to you all in the locker room?
We just got to man up and fix the problems, fix the issues. Turnovers are big. I mean, on the offensive side, just accountability, making sure you're making the blocks and then setting up guys to, do their job. And that's the biggest thing, is just making sure that we're playing 4 quarters of football, not letting up at any point in the game.
Trav, as a leader of this team, what do you feel like after the game?
Man up. Man up. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, and that's just not to Clyde. That's to everybody in the building. That's to everybody in the locker room. We'll never point a finger and say this is one person's loss. That's just not how we roll here in Kansas City. We'll fix it. It's a 4 quarters of football that we got to fix, that we got to get better at.
How did you see them playing guys? It looked like they blitzed worse than that.
Yeah, we thought we were going to see a lot more man, a lot more blitzes, but and that's the thing. When a team is rushing 3 and playing off coverage, we got to be able to put up more points, flat out.
Were you surprised at all that Patrick was trying to throw you the ball? It looked like he was going to be sacked, or was that just another play that you think is going to work?
I don't know which play you're talking about. I just know it.
Interception. Were you surprised he tried to throw it?
No. Usually he gets that ball off. Just a good play by them, and we got to be better on the offensive side. I'm sure Pat will say the same thing.
Good.
Travis, just take us through your touchdown. I mean, it looked like maybe 7 guys had a chance at tackling you.
What you saw was a lot of teamwork, man. I wasn't the only one out there. I was just the one with the ball, man. Had a lot of guys working to get guys downfield, and that's what we pride ourselves on in this building, is trying to spring another guy for a touchdown. You saw Tyreek on Pringle's touchdown do the same thing, and that's just those are plays that we have pride with.
Okay, so we heard Travis Kelce say not pointing any fingers. I kind of guessed as much, but did you guys hear anything from either Patrick Mahomes or Travis Kelce that surprised you, reinforced your ideas? What were the highlights from those guys? Yeah, I thought so.
Sorry, I thought Herbie was going to go. I thought I didn't see Demarcus Robinson in the flat on that play. I'll just be honest with that. But I just that always strikes me about how Patrick's memories. He just recalls stuff. He's not afraid to be self-critical and all that stuff. And I think, like, overall, what you heard is just guys that are frustrated and know they can probably go around the entire locker room and tell you 2 things that each guy did wrong or each guy could have done better. And I think that there was, a healthy bit, I guess that's how I describe it, a healthy bit of frustration, not just from them, but I thought Tyrann Mathieu as well in his postgame.
Terrence Wardle Robinson said the defense in the preseason versus the regular season is drastically different. Absolutely right. I mean, that's one thing. How much praise were we singing for this defense after when the starters played as well as they did against the Vikings, the Cardinals, and the 49ers? And that is nothing like what we're seeing right now, especially against the run, is it, Herbie?
No, but we did have a caveat on all those games. I mean, even against San Francisco, we noted that some of the starters were not playing. When they played Arizona, we noted that DeAndre Hopkins wasn't on the field. And I remember Anthony Hitchens, towards the end of training camp, made sure to emphasize that point, that while they did look good, they weren't going against another team's best players. They were going against their second stringers, their third stringers, because a lot of the starters were not out there. So, while it was fun to say they looked good in preseason, we always have to put it in air quotes. It's preseason. So, if anything, this season is another reinforcement to always temper enthusiasm on what you see out there.
So, 2 Chiefs defensive starters saw their first action tonight, and one of them was particularly good. I made him the star of the game, Tyrann Mathieu, with a pick 6 to open the game, right? The third snap of the game, takes the ball into the end zone, and then he prevents another Ravens touchdown with an interception in the end zone. That's some heavy lifting for the all-pro safety. And terrific game for him. And Frank Clark, of course, was the other one. This was his first action of in uniform this season. Did not play in the preseason. We got a chance to hear from Frank Clark after the game. Herbie, what any impressions from Frank Clark?
He's happy to be back, and he's happy to be healthy. He got through the game, and he's looking forward to the challenge of preparing for the Los Angeles Chargers this week in practice. But other than that, to me, I thought the biggest thing was because this was his first media availability since the 2 off-season incidents, his arrests in California. But he essentially deflected those and said, my legal team has advised me not to say anything, and he's going to leave it in their very capable hands. So that was about it, but at least he did get an opportunity, or at least we had an opportunity to attempt to get him to address what happened during the offseason. But he's going to listen to his attorneys, so we'll have to wait.
Right. He did have one nice tackle for loss today, didn't he? Dropped, I forgot which running back, for about a 4-yard loss. So showed his speed, his quickness on that play. But ultimately, we've gone too far into this show without crediting Lamar Jackson. The guy's tremendous. He just is. And the Chiefs have defended him so well in previous games. And tonight they cracked open the door a little bit for him, and he was, he is who he is, right? The 2019 MVP, and was able to take full advantage of the opportunity that the Chiefs presented to him. And I know, Sam, you and I were going kind of back and forth on how impressed we are with Lamar, and how, I know I'm belaboring the obvious here, but I don't know if another quarterback, another team could have hosted the comeback tonight that the Ravens did, and it was because they had Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I mean, he's just different. He moves different than any other athlete. It's pretty remarkable. He has a way of getting the edge, but not just like as he's getting the edge, he's gaining yards. He's so fast that he can get to the sideline, still turn it field. It's a remarkable watch. We can talk all we want about passing and some of the throws or whatever. The margin for error is bigger. You could run and he can hit receiver. We saw that just tonight.
Hey, Sam, I gotta cut you off. The earbuds are causing some kind of audio problem. So sorry about that. So let's Herbie, let's sum it up. Chiefs are 1-1. How about this little nugget? If they play the Chargers next week, right? And because the Raiders and the Broncos are 2-0. That means the loser of next week's Chargers-Chiefs game is going to be in last place in the AFC West. And here's another little stat I saw tonight, that this is the first time since 2016 that the Chiefs have not at least shared first place in the AFC West. So not just in the Mahomes era, but in the last season of Alex Smith, the Chiefs are always in first place. So it's just been that long since. It's early, obviously. No reason to panic. Okay, Sam, let's see if we got you back. Beth is going to see if she can work her magic. And so is this panic time for Chiefs?
Totally. Yeah, they're screwed. Season's over. I mean, I really think like Tyrann Mathieu, when he said this is a game we should have won, like he's kind of half right. I think they deserve to lose the game, to be honest with you, just the mistakes and the run and all that stuff. But I do think that it doesn't take a lot of imagination to see a scenario where this becomes a good thing for them going forward. If it makes it real, all these problems, especially the run and some of these other mistakes, it might end up being a good thing for them down the road. But they definitely deserve to lose this game. But if we're talking about the AFC West, I mean, who are you taking? Who are you taking in that division, right?
Okay.
I think if anything, sorry.
No, go ahead, Herbie.
No, I was going to say, I think if anything, tonight's loss punctuated how difficult this front part of the schedule is. Because, when this schedule came out, we all knew these first 7 games were going to be tough. And so this was the wake-up call. For folks who thought they were going to go 17-0, well, hey, knock, knock, wake up. It ain't going to happen, okay? Because this part of the schedule was tough. If they got through this part of the schedule, then maybe. But you got to survive the first 7. And so tonight's game woke them up, and it woke us up that they do have flaws, and there are teams out there that are highly capable of taking advantage of those flaws.
And Vahe is checked in. Vahe, what did you end up writing about tonight?
Well, I just really wrote about the defense and sort of about just a little bit of the point about that sort of aura of invincibility, the sense of the Chiefs having the Ravens' number is kind of gone, and but I am struck a little bit by the idea that we thought the Chiefs would probably lose a game early, right? As Herbie pointed out, I thought it would be for a different reason. I thought it'd be because the offensive line wasn't really quite ready for prime time completely, and while I'm sure the offensive line can get better, that's not why not why they lost this game. So, all this stuff is going to be more clear in hindsight than it is right now. I think a case will be able to be made that this game could be a turning point for them to ratchet things up on the defense, a little more energy and urgency from that. I think also they win this game without two things that have never happened before happening, which was Patrick Mahomes throwing an interception in the month of September and Clyde Edwards-Helaire fumbling for the first time in his NFL career. I mean, it took a few extraordinary things to happen for them to lose this game.
And to lose it by 1 point on the road against a team that's pretty motivated, a team that had its heart ripped out in opening week with an overtime loss at the Raiders. Okay, hey, you guys have been great. Hey, Paul, we'll get to your question at midweek, why Dan Swartzen played much more than Juan Thornhill. We'll get to that after we talk to coaches this week. So you all have been terrific. Thanks so much for staying up with us and feeding us your questions and comments. We're approaching 2 a.m. here in the worst of the 4 time zones. So thanks a lot for tuning in. Thanks to Beth, to Herbie, to Sam, and to Vahe. And we will talk to you again this week.